is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
For today's Grimm adventure, we find ourselves once again on Mulholland Drive. This time, however, instead of overlooking Hollywood, we're overlooking Universal City. In fact, right about the center of your screen is Universal Studios Hollywood. You can see Hogwarts Castle right there. The reason we're starting this video off here on top of Mulholland Drive is this. Joseph Lyle Menendez and his brother Erik brutally murdered both of their parents inside their Beverly Hills home with shotguns. After they killed their parents, they drove the length of Mulholland Drive and they dumped the shotguns over the hillside. And then, in an attempt to establish an alibi, they went to a local movie theater to go see the movie Batman, but it was sold out. So they instead bought tickets to a movie called License to Kill. Let's stop and talk about Mulholland Drive for a moment. If you've never heard of the road, it's one of the most iconic roads in Los Angeles. And it is a long, winding road that is high above Hollywood and Universal City, and it gives you these amazing views. Here's the thing, there's a lot of dead areas, so to speak, where there's no houses. Perfect place to dump guns, especially after committing a murder. Los Angeles loves their hiking trails, and there are a ton of them, especially up here in the Mulholland Drive area. It's rather peaceful, absolutely beautiful, and some of the houses up here are absolutely insane. If you follow Mulholland Drive long enough, eventually it intersects with a street known as Coldwater Canyon. And if you make a left, basically that takes you down to where the murders happened. And if you make a right, well, it's right in that area where the Menendez brothers ditched the guns. The Menendez brothers really went out of their way to try to establish an alibi. And you know what? They might have gotten away with it. You never know if it wasn't for a few different things. The first one being they got a lot of money because their parents were dead, and they went on extremely lavish spending sprees, buying cars, businesses, I think it was a restaurant, fancy watches, and well, do you mind if I show you my basketball card collection? A lot of people don't know this, but I do collect, well, just one card, and that is Mark Jackson of the Knicks. I'll get a little closer in here. You see these two guys sitting right there? That's the Menendez brothers. In their spending spree, they bought courtside tickets to a Knicks game. And it just so happened they were caught. And literally they did get caught. And how they got caught, one of the brothers actually confessed, came clean to his therapist. And that's how the Menendez brothers were caught.
It happened in this house on North Elm Drive. It's the heart of Beverly Hills. In the library near the front of the mansion, detectives found the body of 45-year-old Jose Menendez, and right nearby, the body of his wife, Kitty.
We received a call on our 911 emergency line from the residents stating that there had been a shooting here.
The bodies were found about 11:45 last night. Just an hour earlier, one young boy in the neighborhood heard what he thought were Chinese firecrackers.
It sounded like and then
what he probably heard were the gunshots. All morning, detectives and technicians from the crime lab continued to look for clues behind the huge oak doors and the ornate windows. One of the victim's sons showed up and left angrily without saying a word. Jose Menendez was a businessman. He had been a vice president for RCA and ran the nationwide Hertz rental car operation. In the mid-1980s, he became the chief executive officer for a Van Nuys film distribution company called Live Entertainment. A spokesman for the company said today everyone is in shock.
We're shocked. We lost a friend as well as a business associate.
Is it as much of a mystery to everyone around here as it seems to be to the police right now?
Yeah, I mean, we just have no clue how anything like that could happen.
As far as bad news is concerned, this is a neighborhood more familiar with canceled TV shows and bankruptcies than murder. People like George Burns live nearby, Dean Martin, Valerie Harper, the pop singer Dion lives just up the street. After what happened here last night, some of the neighbors are worried and afraid.
We don't know if this is an isolated incident.
Most of the neighbors shied away from the cameras and speculation about what happened. Many said they were worried, afraid a killer was on the loose in the plush neighborhood.
And I heard it on the news.
Yeah?
But it said Beverly Hills, and I thought it was somewhere else.
Why? Why'd you think that?
Well, I didn't think it would be here, right where I come to work at.
But it did happen. It happened in a house that used to belong to Elton John and Prince. It happened in a neighborhood where violence and murder are uncommon. It happened to a man and his wife, Jose and Kitty Menendez, and so far, no one knows why.
Aside from the leaf blowers, this area in Beverly Hills, known as the Flats, is actually pretty relaxing. About a half a block up there, you can see the cars moving. That's Sunset Boulevard. Right now, we are on Elm Street, where the murders took place. This house looks a lot different than it did back in 1989 when the murders happened. Right here in this patch of grass, there was a tree. It's no longer here. And then you see where those bushes are. Back in the day, there was this wrought iron fence that can be seen in a lot of the police footage. But this is the house right here. Now, I'm going to share some of that police footage with you that was actually taken August 21st, the day after the murders. I'm not going to show you any of the bodies. All that's going to be blurred out. But this is the driveway right here. The brothers would have pulled the car right up through there. You can see the garage off to the left-hand side. They got out, went inside, and that's where Kitty and Jose were watching TV in the den. They came up right behind Jose, shot him point blank in the back of the head. Startled Kitty. She jumped up and tried to run down the hall, and they gunned her down. Pretty crazy.
It's August 21st, 1989. We're at 722 North Elm Drive. A reported double homicide. Present at the scene are Detectives Zoller, myself, and Linehan.
I pointed out the tree that used to stand in the grass patch because there's an interview with one of the detectives. He talks about when they were trying to get the brothers out of the house, that one of them ran over to the tree and was banging his head against the tree trunk.
They were ordering the occupants out of the house, which was Lyle and Erik, and they came running out of the house extremely despondent and carrying and crying and yelling and that kind of stuff. And Erik ran from the doorway across the driveway to this tree and started trying to bash his head against the tree, and he had to be physically restrained by the officer.
The police had this whole area taped off with crime scene tape. They stretched it all the way across the road, and even though some of the trees and the fence is not here, You can see that one of the police officers wrapping the tape around this pole right here, creating like a perfect square across the street. After they killed their parents, they kind of just hung out in the house for a while, waiting to see if any of the neighbors heard anything and came running.
12 shots in the middle of Beverly Hills on a Sunday night, and no one calls the police. We're waiting at the house. No one shows up. And I still can't believe it. I'm sitting on the stairs afterwards thinking the police are going to be there in seconds. They've got roving patrol.
And people, many people did hear the shots. Many neighbors came in and said they heard all these shots, but nobody called because they just figured this is Beverly Hills, this doesn't happen in Beverly Hills.
Once they thought they were in the clear, that's whenever they left and tried to establish an alibi by buying a ticket, a movie ticket to License to Kill. They really wanted to see Batman. They went to a food festival over in Santa Monica, and a couple hours later, they came back to the house, and that is when they called 911.
Beverly Hills emergency?
Yes, police.
What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Pardon me?
Someone killed my parents.
What? Who? Are they still there?
Yes.
The people...
No.
Were they shot?
Hey, man,
were they shot?
Yes.
They were shot?
Yes.
102 response, 722 North Elm on a parking shooting.
What happened?
I have a hysterical person on. We're trying to get screened further. Other units responding. Is the person still there?
What happened? We have units around. What happened? Who shot who?
I don't hear anything. I just came home.
You came home and found who shot?
Mom and Dad. You know if they're still in the house, the people that did the shooting.
Get away from him. Okay. Hey, let me talk to Erik. Who is the person that was shot?
My mom and my dad.
Your mom and dad?
My mom and my dad.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, we're on our way over there with the ambulance.
Okay, I gotta go.
Okay.
Oh.
Hello, this is police department.
Yes.
Okay, I want you to come outside. Okay, just come out the front door.
My brother.
If it seems like I was a little rushed standing in front of that house talking about the murders, truth be told, I was.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. A bad luck's always coming my way.